Good morning, everyone. All right, as David said, my name is Randy AuCoin. We are Exact Imaging is a Toronto-based company. We have our regulatory approvals in United States, Europe, and Canada, and we have early sales in all of those regions, sold about 70 of our micro-ultrasound devices so far. We're currently raising capital to gather additional clinical data to get us into the clinical guidelines, to improve our margin. First, you get the product working well, which it is. Then you optimize it for the profit side of it. And we have an AI feature that we're ready to bring to market. We have one publication out on it, and we're ready to move forward. We're looking for $15 million in this current round. The team that we've put together is experienced, has always been involved in early stage, been involved in emerging technology and bringing it up through to standard of care, and then successfully transitioning it off to other companies. Where we add the biggest value is in the area of prostate cancer. So if we did a quick count of the men in here, unfortunately 1 in 7 of us will get prostate cancer, men, so it's a little depressing statistic. And the challenge is the way that's diagnosed is using transrectal ultrasound to guide the biopsies and collect tissue samples. And this has been done for about 25 years. The challenge would be that there's not enough resolution to see that cancer area right there. This is not how it normally looks. And what they do instead is follow a pattern by collecting 12 samples from across the prostate, hoping that they'll hit the cancer if it's there. And that is called a blind biopsy, systematic biopsy, or random biopsy. They're all synonymous. And the challenge is 30 to 40% of the time it results in a false negative. Now, MRI has come along in recent years to improve this, and by doing a process called Mri Ultrasound Fusion, taking an MRI and combining it together. This is not what we do, this is not what we focus on, but this is how it would be done to try to do a targeted biopsy instead of a blind biopsy to improve prostate cancer detection. If you're going to do that, what you first have to do is refer the man over to radiology and put them in a magnet. That's about $2.5 million. And that magnet, they'll do a 40-minute MRI exam, multi-parametric MRI. Then you need a radiology team that can interpret those images and using a PIRADS-2 scoring system and pick out the cancerous lesions. And then maybe 2 weeks later, it'll go back to do step 3, where you'll have your ultrasound machine connected to a new device called a fusion device. And there'll be some sensors, and you'll have to try to co-register the real-time ultrasound with the MRI from a couple of weeks ago. And if you get all that to work right, you will absolutely be able to perform a targeted biopsy and do a better job at detecting the prostate cancer. The challenge with that is, from a urology standpoint, is a bit of a cumbersome workflow, a loss of patient control. For the patient, it's now multiple visits and longer procedure times, and the MRI is more expensive for the payer than, and it's actually, typically it's private pay right now, but it's more expensive than it is to do the ultrasound alone. We approached it completely differently. We said, why don't we just fix the ultrasound machine? They've used ultrasound for 25 years. Why don't we just make one that has enough resolution to see the cancer? And so that's what we've done using what we call a micro-ultrasound technology that we actually developed at our last company. I was one of the vice presidents at a company called Visual Sonics out of Toronto. And at that company, we took technology out of University of Toronto and Sunnybrook Hospital and commercialized it to make an ultrasound machine for a mouse. So helping preclinical researchers who were studying disease models in mice, they would use our high-frequency technology to see the heart valves and the brain of a mouse and all kinds of incredible things that required really, really high resolutions. To do that, we had to develop all kinds of new transducer technology and new signal path technology. We sold that company in 2010. But the rights were carved out to use that technology in human urology, and we built the ExactView system where we adapted it to run at 29 megahertz instead of the traditional 9 megahertz. And the impact is you can now do the targeted biopsy without requiring MRI. And we're the only ones on the market to have this. All the other competitors need to combine their ultrasound with a fusion technology to do targeted biopsy. We can do it with just the ultrasound system alone, which the urologists love. So just to show what this image is, this is from Visual Sonics, where we developed the technology. That image is from 2 millimeters down to 9 millimeters. That's a 7 millimeter image. And that's showing a stem cell injection into the brain ventricle of a mouse embryo growing in utero. So a pregnant mouse, 8 to 12 pups growing in utero. And this is a stem cell injection into the brain of one of those embryos. And so incredible resolution. When we show this to GE, Philips, and Siemens, they say, that's not ultrasound. Ultrasound doesn't have that resolution. But this is what we had to develop for that industry, and we've adapted it for urology. And the breakthrough is around the transducer construction, how we build out the signal path and how we drive everything. And so we had to come up with brand new manufacturing processes, which are patented, brand new ways of doing things, a lot of trade secrets involved in the way the transducers are constructed to be able to get the resolution. And from a standpoint of clarity, on the left is a centimeter scale, and then on the right is the millimeter scale that we have, and so that's the difference clarity makes. From a standpoint of better imaging, it's kind of like, so what? Better imaging is just better imaging, but what does it mean? What we did was, when we started the company, every time they would put a biopsy needle into the prostate, we collected that little movie and put it in a database. And then what we did is, when the pathology report came back, we correlated the pathology with the movie. And so we built up an image database of 14,000 images over time. And we worked with the urologist to develop a scoring system called Primus, where if you see the pattern in 1 and 2, that's most likely to be benign. And if you see in 4 and 5, that's most likely to be clinically significant prostate cancer. And this is what they use to direct their biopsies. So we've had very good response from the urology community. It's early days, but the response has been excellent from KOLs. We won 2 Best Poster Awards at major conferences, 36 podium presentations now, 70 abstracts at major conferences, endorsement videos, all that's great. The evidence is really starting to build now, 12 peer-reviewed manuscripts in major journals. We won the Frost & Sullivan Technology Innovation Award for the prostate cancer market this year. And then just some really good things happening on that side of it. The data we have now, we know that we're superior to clinical ultrasound. That's done and published, and so we're superior to conventional ultrasound. That just makes sense by looking at the image. We also have some radiologists that said, we believe in MRI, but we know MRI misses 15% of clinically significant prostate cancer. We think we could use your device to be complementary and add on and get a higher detection rate, and they did this. And so we have some data coming out now showing that putting the MRI together with ours is the best fusion platform going, and so that was interesting. And there is a real opportunity to replace multiparametric MRI with this device. The reason that would be is some people just can't afford to have the MRI done. Maybe they're contraindicated, they're claustrophobic or something like that, or they have an implant, they can't have the MRI. And so there's an opportunity here so right now at 9 sites with over 1,000 patients, we have 9 of our customers who are doing head-to-head studies, fusion versus just using our micro-ultrasound technology. And at all 9 sites with over 1,000 patients, we are non-inferior or superior to the MRI ultrasound fusion. So that's good data that's about to be published. So in summary, we really like the urology segment. The urologists are very innovative. They like adopting new technologies, and they're gravitating towards what we've done. We believe there's no other company that has a more compelling data set and has built up a data set around the area of prostate cancer diagnosis and management. The technology is well proven, both from the preclinical world for 10 years and now with what we're doing here, and well differentiated. The KOLs are really strong advocates, and it's really a platform technology all the way. So we started out thinking we could just do diagnosis. Now we know we can use it to screen, making decisions whether you should even do a biopsy, to do the biopsy, to do active surveillance, monitoring those patients that have low-risk disease, and an important development to guide focal therapy. We can see the target in real time. We can help the focal therapy companies get to the target, deliver the energy, and then monitor what's happened immediately afterwards. So thank you very much. Interested in speaking with you at the breakout. Thank you.